Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Dr. William Jackson. He's a clinical health psychologist and a former Buddhist monk. He has 20 years of experience in mindful-based meditation. He's the founder of Skillful Means, LLC, and the creator of the online meditation program, the Skillful Means Program. Please enjoy Dr. William Jackson. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Dr. William Jackson, clinical health psychologist, former Buddhist monk, and dear friend from acting school. Welcome to the podcast. I am super excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yay! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it has been so many years since I've seen you or been in the same space with you. So thank you for saying yes and showing up and participating. And
absolutely. Yeah, I think this is a great idea. It's really cool exploring creativity and seeing how to create more of it and how you can apply it to your life and be practical about it. It's exciting. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. So I'm glad you are interested and like it too. That's awesome when other people support it as well. Well, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes and letting our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm a clinical health psychologist, which means that I work with people who have something that they're working with, psychologically or physically as well. So I've worked in chronic pain for a number of years. And I got into that because before I became a psychologist, I was a Buddhist monk for 6 years and practiced some meditation before that. And it just so happens that mindfulness meditation tends to be helpful for people with sort of chronic illnesses, that sort of thing. I mean, in part because a lot of the time the doctors are like, I don't know what to do with you. Go see the psychologist, right?
Right.
And it just so happens, I'm like, okay, well, I can actually help with that. So that's pretty exciting. And I think for a while, people have come to meditation as a thing, a last ditch effort, like, well, nothing else worked. Why don't I try meditation? And I think more and more people are starting to do it first. Like, okay, let's see what we can do, training the mind a bit. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll do something more invasive or intense. So that's sort of, I'm a psychologist, former Buddhist monk, meditation teacher. And I now start to develop, I've started to develop different meditation programs online.
Nice. That's awesome. And for people who may not be totally familiar with meditation, can you give us the little Cliff Note version of meditation?
Yeah, sure. So I'm from a Buddhist meditation background or mindfulness-based meditation background. So that means that in meditation you are, or mindfulness, we'll say, is you are bringing about a state of mind that is open, that's accepting, and you're allowing your experience. It's very present moment. You're letting go of sort of habitual ways of thinking and responding to the world. And meditation is the exercise, the cultivation of that state of mind over time. So the more that your brain, your mind gets sort of familiar with that state, the more it can sort of get back there more easly. And there are all sorts of wonderful benefits from that, like reduced stress and clarity, creativity, concentration, all these sorts of things. I'm happy to talk about how that happens as well. But then how do you apply that to your life? Right? There's this beautiful state of mind which you can cultivate, but then how do you actually use mindfulness and the insights that come from being mindful? So watching your body without reacting to it, watching your feelings without reacting to them, watching your thoughts going through your head without, judging them, but just understanding where they're coming from and the effect that they're having on your being and on other people.
Yeah.
So the insights from that, sort of how do we integrate it into our life? So that's what my company is kind of about. There's lots of meditation programs out there, not so many sort of walk with you to integrate it, to create the habits, find the areas of your life where if you were to apply insight and meditation to them, it'll bring you the most well-being. That's kind of what we're focused on.
Nice. I love that. I mean, as you're talking, I'm just connecting all the dots and pieces between insight and creativity and mindfulness and how they really benefit each other in such a beautiful way. And, creativity is also about stress reduction and training your mind to look at life or see life through this lens of creativity. But you have to be mindful and have awareness of what is happening first before we can do something different or try something new or have that burst or spark of creativity show up too. So
yeah, because in mindfulness also you're coming out of your usual way of thinking, right? You're looking at the world and yourself and your habits and problems in a different perspective. Right? With a different parts of your brain are online when you're meditating versus when you're going about your usual day to day.
Right.
And that helps you to sort of see new solutions to old problems.
Yeah. And that right there, what you just said, so many people feel like that's what it means to be creative, seeing new solutions to old problems. However, I want to ask you, what do you feel it means to be creative?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one piece. I think there's another. So there's this monk, Bhante Gunaratana. So he wrote a book called Mindfulness in Plain English, which is a great sort of starter meditation book for people. And you can get it free as like a PDF online. And he says, mindfulness is what happens before we clamp down and section off the world into little, even pieces. Where we put it into boxes so we can organize it. Yeah. Mindfulness is about being with the bare experience of reality in some way. And I think people can get creative at how they chop up reality, right? So as just a simple example of that, from psychology versus Buddhist psychology, right? So Western psychology versus Buddhist psychology. In psychology, we often talk about emotion and feelings, and we sort of conflate the two in a way. Whereas in Buddhist psychology, there's no word for emotion. There's feeling, there's habit, there's thought, right? And when you smush all of those together, you get emotion, right? And a lot of times what we're doing in meditation is we're breaking open these compactednesses, right? You're breaking it open so you can see how reality has been sort of sectioned off and divided up. And I think you can do that in all sorts of ways. And, in poetry, you can do that or whatever. So I think that's one part of creativity is how you organize reality in your own thoughts and then portray that to other people. Yeah. But I feel like another is thinking about it in terms of being creative about pointing to a particular experience. So taking people on a journey or on an experience to have that meaningful moment for themselves, that aha moment, that insight. And I think the process of creating that journey for somebody so they can have a new experience, I think is creativity. Yeah. Whether it's a song, whether it's poetry, whether they're watching a dance, and it's pointing towards an experience that people can share together, an awakening, an insight of some sort. And if I go along with also from a psychology Buddhist perspective, it also really has to do with alleviating suffering. Yeah. And I really like that. I think it is creative when it does that, even if it's a moment of joy, if it's an aha moment, if it's greater understanding of who you are and greater understanding of the world. I think creativity definitely has that compassionate, alleviating suffering aspect to it.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up. And yeah, I mean, creativity is able to spark joy. And even if for just that one moment, suffering diminishes or decreases, I think that's a gift and part of the creative experience and the creative process too. We might have moments of joy that when we piggyback on each other, that collection extends into our life, and we can, see how it infiltrates other areas, or that journey you talk about taking, not only are you taking someone else on a journey with creativity, you're also taking yourself on that journey too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing about being a therapist or meditation teacher too, is you get to go on that journey all the time. Every new client that you see, they're sorting through stuff.
Yeah.
Like the reason they come to you is because they've been doing the same thing and they keep running into the same problem. And they're like, can you help me be creative?
Yes.
Right? Can you help me understand things in a different way, look through a different lens, understand things in a different way that will help me feel better?
Totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love it.
So exciting. And the fact that you get to do that with somebody and they pay you for it.
Yes. Oh my God. I know. I love that about being a therapist and I love stories. I love listening to people talk, and I love supporting people to be the expert of their own life and just providing those tools for them to dig a little bit deeper or tease things apart in a new way, or find that creativity to look at a experience or a challenge in a new fashion.
Yeah. And in terms of meditation too, it's like happening in the moment. If you're leading a class of meditation students, it's similar to it's giving a performance in a way. Yeah. Right. So the performance is also, that your scene partner is also the audience. So you're listening. Are they laughing? Are they silent? They're like, ooh, whatever it is. Yeah. You're responding to it in the moment. So as you're doing meditation, you're helping people into a state where they feel comfortable, where they feel safe. When I think that place of safety, when our nervous system actually feels that there isn't risk, it can start to be creative, right? The parts of your brain that have to do with creativity, they're like extra parts of the brain, right? The staying alive parts are always on, but only when you feel really safe, you have food, that you're good. Yeah. The other sort of creative places often come online. Of course, there's you have to be creative and there's danger and stuff too. But as you're guiding people through, you can sort of feel shifts in the room of how people feel. Like, okay, maybe you take a couple more breaths. Yeah. Allow people to calm down. Maybe you think of something more, a different example, because the people who have walked into the room, and that's going to help them to get deeper or let go of something as you're guiding through a meditation. So that's a really exciting moment of creativity, and a subtle one. Where you have to sort of think on the fly as well to help guide people towards that experience. Yeah, that flexibility that comes with,
just being able to read a room or feel that energetic experience of students in a space together and being able to go with the flow in that present moment of oh, right now I'm feeling that sense of there's potentially some anxiety creeping in. Okay, how am I going to navigate this to support this space to reach that goal that this space is being held for?
Yeah, right. And using the body as a tool to pick up on all these subtle things, right? The more subtle your own mind, you go from the gross of cell phone and conversation and whatever towards that inner experience. And the more subtle that you can get, the more you can pick up on, a shift in mood, a shift in tone, the feelings, and really utilize that, all of that information to whatever creative sort of thing that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I, talking about kind of reading the room, when we think of challenges or creative challenges, how do you face creative challenges?
Yeah. So meditation is huge for me. So I am a meditation wonk. I think about everything in terms of meditation. As a psychologist, psychology fits within the meditation system, not the way around. So I would say meditation. Yeah. So, but what I mean by that too is even that moment of quiet where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let my nervous system calm down for a moment. And after practicing for a long time, there's this tremendous trust that I have that when I go into a meditation, even if it's in a moment, even if I'm in a conversation and I just start to breathe for a moment and listen internally, there's a trust that's built up over time that there are things that are going to pop up. You know, there are solutions, there are ideas that are going to be there. And it's not sort of a wishful thinking. It's craft over time of listening and taking care of my body, taking care of my mind. So it is going to be there when I need it.
Yeah.
So I think one is getting quiet. Hurry up and do nothing, right? Sort of thing. And I think that really helps me to be creative. And that's sort of one part. The other is I ask everybody. So like if I need a solution to a problem, my wife hates this, I will ask everybody. Like I share about everything. Like I have to catch myself to not share something personal that somebody else doesn't want me to share because I'm just like an open book. So I'll ask, if I have a problem, I'll just ask everybody, stranger, whatever. And my wife is like, why are you asking these people? Like, is this person going to make a decision for you? They don't even know you. And I'm like, well, no, I'm going to incorporate this. So like get lots of data points and then let it soak in a bit, right? And let I guess intuition is the word for it, but I just let everything sort of soak in and then feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's different than just problem solving, trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Right? It's letting all of it in, feeling all the different perspectives, and then looking at the feeling that arises there in my body, and then describing that experience gets me a different answer often. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, what you just put into words is an experience that I do as well, but it's kind of that I can't even say the word litmus test.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Of, getting everyone's answer and, in some level trying them on, like what is my feeling related to that piece? And, oh, I like that little section of what that person said and kind of creating a new answer or solution by picking and choosing and finding that collection that really settles in my system.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Right. Which takes confidence.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so easy. If you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling solid in yourself, if you open yourself up to other people's opinions, you're going to get dragged away by a strong opinion left or right.
Right.
Right. But if you have that sort of confidence, you feel centered, you can open up to lots of different data points. You can open up to different perspectives. And when you open yourself up to those different perspectives, that's when you get new stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You can incorporate that into your sort of unique vision of the world. It starts to plug in and you get a new Voltron character out of all of these different perspectives. And I think that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And, for my company too, I can't wait to open it up to different meditators and different meditation teachers and different perspectives of people who help others find insight. And there's so many ways to do that.
Yeah.
That's what sort of the name of my company, Skillful Means, is about. It's about finding skillful ways to develop insight in the world. And there's so many creative ways to do that.
Yeah, there are. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yay. I feel like we could talk for endless hours about insight and creativity. And I'm super curious because I know a fair amount about you because we've been friends for quite some time. Yeah. But when you think about kind of early memories, childhood, maybe, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Yeah. So you sent me this question, so I thought about it.
Good.
The first thing that popped to my mind actually was being like 2.5 years old, something like that. And I was, my parents were building a house near Worcester, Massachusetts. And my father, I remember holding my father's hand like up above my head, and he's talking to some construction guy, and it was a coffee cup that was sitting on the edge, and below was like a garage, and they were just pouring the concrete foundation, or pouring the concrete for the garage floor or whatever. They're like smoothing it out. And I thinking to myself, like, what would happen if I just kicked that? I know I'm not supposed to, but I really want to see what happens. And it's like making a new decision. It was like my moment of like agency.
Yeah.
My first like remembered moment of agency. Like, I can choose to do this. And I was like, boop, and watched it fall. And it was like so satisfying, and just exploded. The guys are like, down below.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting moment. And then like I thought of other ones of like, kids are making, snowmen. And I was like, I'm gonna make a snow dinosaur. Like right. That sort of moment was fun too. So I think, those are my earliest sort of moments. But I think that sort of key of agency.
Yeah. No, I like
this
it.
Is the way the world is going and what people are doing. And then I can sort of jump out of that stream.
Mm-hmm. Have a little more autonomy. Like I made a choice here. That's my choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing. Just, I can absolutely picture that experience of construction workers reacting to what just happened.
Dunkin' Donuts is a small coffee, but falling, spinning, and splat.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, I love it. I think it's such a great question because so many people, they take some time to think about it and come up with some really fun responses to it. It's they're all very creative.
Yeah. Nice moment.
Nice. And I mean, knowing that you have your psychology community, your Buddhist psychology, your meditation community, it sounds like you have a really vast, wide community from many different areas. When you think about your community, how do they impact or influence your creativity?
Yeah. So I think it's important for me. I often think about just using different parts of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a lot of meditation people who I continually talk with, psychology people, play the guitar a little bit. I writing a TV show. These are sort of, I try to do lots of different things regularly just because, I think I have some significant ADD, which I've learned how to play with a little bit and utilize. But I think doing many things helps me, and being part of many different groups helps me be creative in each individual group as well.
Yeah.
But when I think about where I get a lot of insight and new ways of thinking about things that really applies to my life, that becomes very helpful to me, is one with teaching meditation classes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I teach a course over, a number of weeks, week 4 or 5 starts to get really interesting. So usually it takes people, if they're meditating regularly, they're like newbies to it, 3 to 4 weeks before they start really seeing some results, right? But at week 4 or 5, they start having insights about their life and about things, about relationships, very unique insights.
Yeah.
And when they start sharing that back with the group, I'm like, my work is sort of done. They have the carrot to keep them going, and they just add that to the group. And I hear amazing things all the time about how emotions work, about how to change the way that you think about things, how to pursue the thing that you've always wanted to pursue in your life. And that's one of the main reasons why I continue doing meditation, love teaching meditation courses. is that moment when people start having their own insights. And I get so much back from that. It's exciting and it's like gratifying to see people changing.
Yeah.
But it also, for me, there are new ways to point towards alleviating difficulty, alleviating suffering in the world, and hearing people go through that and find unique ways is super exciting.
Nice.
The other thing is, it's the same thing with psychotherapy. People are continually sorting through problems, and I hear all sorts of, I get to hear really personal experiences of that, things that you don't really talk about. And then, of course, working, writing a screenplay right now, I think is the other sort of creative thing, where I get to be funny and I get to be ridiculous and mean and scary, or all the things that you don't usually get to do. You can do that when you're playing.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. And then, of course, my kids, my family. It's like to see yourself reflected back at yourself. I mean, it's like valuable.
Yeah, that permission that shows up with that too. It sounds like, with your meditation students, when they're sharing those insights, they're kind of giving you some permission to take them further. Like they've come here and now we're going to keep continuing on further, but also permission to just be witness to their change and their shift. And that in and of itself, I think, is a gift to have someone trust you enough to show up and share their experience.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm super aware of our time.
Yeah.
And
that's okay. I mean, we have a couple more minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really curious how you would encourage others to find creativity in their lives.
Yeah. So I often frame this in terms of going from the gross to the subtle. And I think you can be creative in all different types of circumstances. But personally, I've found when I create more of a subtle mind. So, and what that sort of means is, if you are having really strong emotion, right? You're really intense, or you're in an intense environment, something like that. You're surrounded by an intense environment. It's a lot for the nervous system to handle.
Yeah.
And, if you look at research around what's happening in the brain, like there are parts of the brain that are just shutting off. And when you start to get towards a mind that's a little bit more calm, a more subtle mind, these areas start to open back up. So gross meaning also, if you're having an intense conversation, maybe sort of walking away from that for a little while, going for a walk, allowing the nervous system to calm down, to feel safe again. Or going from, if you're doing meditation, you're going from walking meditation to sitting meditation to focusing on the breath. And when you calm the body and the mind, the breath, you don't need as much oxygen, so the breath calms. So you're focusing on this subtle object. A subtle object of mind creates a subtle mind, creates a subtle body, and then the breath gets even more calm, and it creates a more subtle mind, more subtle breath. This nice feedback loop. And in that place, I feel like my biggest distractions in a longer meditation are the, oh wow, what a good idea.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, I have to write that down.
Yeah.
That's a great distracting thought to have. So for me, developing meditation is essential, and a really simple one.
Yeah.
So, you can do, really intense breathing meditations. You can I don't know, there's this Wim Hof method, which is really popular now, or people are taking cold showers, or djumping in ice cold water and sitting in meditation, or I don't know. So there's all sorts of different types of meditation, but for me, in terms of creativity on a day-to-day, the simpler, the better. And finding a way to just let the body breathe, do its thing, get out of the way.
Yeah.
And then just feel the sensation of breathing, like a nice, boring meditation. It's like you're creating the blank canvas. And then the colors become so vibrant on the canvas,
Yeah.
It's so clear when something has arisen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that keeping it really simple, and the longer you do it, the better. And that's like all of meditation for me.
Right.
If you can do that, you can meditate for hours or days or weeks or years at a time, just doing that, and you'll get tremendous benefit and tremendous creativity from it.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And if people want to, oh my gosh. Yeah. If people want to learn more about the work that you're doing or get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so they can visit my website, which is skillfulmeans.life. And I have a new website that should be up in a couple of days. It was supposed to be up like a month ago. But it'll come up soon. And I have meditation classes and courses and, all sorts of blog and, all the stuff on there. And I'm pretty open. If anybody wants to reach out to collaborate or talk or whatever, I'm pretty accessible. So
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, thank you so much. It has been such a delight and so wonderful to reconnect. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so like us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and your family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your comments, reviews, and questions. Tune in Tuesdays for a new episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.